man, that's a good deal for Monty Williams. And like he's making about $13 million per. We're just talking about Vogel's making about $6.2 million per down in Phoenix. Obviously, Pistons, they wanted him. They feel like they need him. But that's a lot of cash, man. What do you make of that, Bobby?
Yeah, I mean, he's the second highest, I guess we can call him player/staff member on the roster behind Bojan Bogdanovic, who's making $20 million. It's a huge number. I think certainly a sense of desperation in Detroit as far as trying to get this right. And 6 years as you guys know, we've seen coaches turn over in 3 to 4 years. 6 years is certainly a big commitment from a financial angle.
So what did he do? Like just say, I'm not stepping foot and getting off a bird in Detroit for less than 12 or 13? We were just talking about it. And what if Detroit came back and said, how about 10 or 11? Like, would he have said stuff it for that number?
I don't know. We have the same agent, and from the
good on you.
Basketball. And I said so. I texted him, Spencer, and I said, "Geez, now you can retire. Either that, or you can get a dog." Like goodness gracious. I mean, that's 4 or 5 is nice, right? I mean, $13 million per year is generational money, right? Like he doesn't have to, and he was already getting 20 from Phoenix. I'm sure there's a set off in there. Monty didn't have to coach, and I think that's where. Yeah, I mean, I'm already sitting home making 6 or 7, not have to do anything. What's the number for me to, get back in it here? And basically they doubled what he was making with the Suns.
Well, that leaves only the Raptors to hire a coach. The only coaching vacancy in the league is now up here in Toronto. And my read on the situation, Bobby, is that they're interviewing people that no one else was really looking at. And I don't mean that necessarily as a negative, but I think that speaks to why they feel like they're in no rush because the guys that are on their radar, they weren't on the radar in Phoenix or in Detroit, or Houston for that matter. Do you get the same sense in terms of what's taken so long with the Raptors?
Yeah, I just never thought or felt from the beginning when Nick was let go. I guess that was in late April that they were in a rush to get something done within the first month of this process here. I think you're right. I mean, I think they just basically have cast a wide net over this whole process. I think part of it is, and what I've learned certainly being in Brooklyn and New Jersey for a long time, is that you want to bring in as many people as you can because it basically, as I said, gives you a scouting report on your own roster. Right? Like if I'm Masai, you're basically interviewing people and say, don't hurt my feelings. Tell me about this roster. What do we need to add? Who should stay here? And if you can get 25 different scattering reports from 25 different perspectives, even though maybe you only have 3 or 4 in your high priority list, I think that's a huge offseason for the Raptors. You do have to eventually make a decision here because we are in June and you've got the options of Fred coming up and Gary Trent, and you've got a lottery pick, and you do certainly want a coach in place here. But, yeah, I just never felt that, unlike maybe some of these other spots, maybe it was Phoenix or Philadelphia, that there was a sense of urgency here, and we'll probably see something in the next 10 days to 2 weeks.
Bobby, what do you think the vibe is on the Raps from the outside around the league? I mean, they traded for Kawhi. Kawhi didn't pick Toronto, and now it's kind of they're middling in mediocrity. So are other guys around the league kind of passing on Toronto? I know there was a time early on where it was like guys weren't sure about coming up here. I mean, they got a guy through a trade. They won a championship. But what do you think the vibe is right now?
It's interesting. If you had asked me out of the 5 positions that were open, what one would I put up ranked in the top? I would have put Toronto up there, certainly. I just look at it, the other organizations, Phoenix, Philadelphia, and I know there's a pressure to win anywhere, but there's a little more pressure there as far as, hey, we got to get to a conference finals, we got to get to an NBA championship. I think there's more of a working relationship, whoever Masai hires here, that you're not going to be out in a year or 2 years here unless really things go off the rails here. So I think I still see it as a desirable job. Of course, free agency will play into that as far as who your point guard is going to be, if it is Fred. But, when you still look at the roster here and Masai has proven, I know free agency is probably a little bit more checkered, but he's proven that he can go out and draft well and add in, these under the radar type guys to give you a roster here. I still see it as as one of the top jobs out there.